The all tissues of our organism. When we studied the draination of the head and neck, I said about this, and now I will recollect you some information. If you remember, the number of the veins in 2.5 times more than the number of the arteries, because the blood goes by veins so slowly than by arteries, because the pump, which is heart, it pushes blood, and also contraction of the walls of the arteries, they direct blood distally. The veins, they have the thinner muscular sheet, this is one moment, and more of portions of the blood will go opposite than its weight, because it's so slowly. And through the one moment to the object comes by pressure any portion of the blood, and by same moment the same portion of the blood with oxygen must evacuate from this object. And because for the optimal evacuation, the number of the veins is more than the number of the arteries. Lesser veins, they are placed by two alone of the one artery. Now, for example, today you studied inferior vena cava. Do you remember? Last time we studied from aorta began 4 pair, right and left, the lumbar arteries. Along of each lumbar artery will locate 2 lumbar veins, because number of the lumbar arteries on each side was 4, the number of the veins on each side will be 8. Now, this is example. Some veins, if you remember, they are extra, and they are placed individually without location alone of the artery. Do you remember, we studied with you veins of the head. Jugular internal vein, it is placed alone of the carotid common artery. Jugular external, jugular anterior, retromandibular, they are individual. Today we will study inferior vena cava and portal vein. Inferior vena cava and portal vein, they are general veins. Why they are general? Because they take part in the systemic circulation. You listen to me? You listen me or you read?
Listening.
I don't understand. Because, my dear, if you don't produce attention, it is difficult for me to explain. This is not my explanation. I must ask you. You can see inferior vena cava and superior vena cava, they are general. Why they are general? Why superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, they are general veins in our organism? How you think? No, what systemic circulation? No, what? Inform me. What is systemic? I said you systemic circulation. And what you can say about this? From heart exits aorta. This is general artery, the branches of which will direct blood to the all objects, all tissues of our organism. From all objects, the whole blood will come back into the heart by superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Exits by aorta, comes back from all tissues by superior and inferior vena cava, because they are general. They return the whole blood into the heart. Besides superior vena cava and besides inferior vena cava, we have helping general vein. It is portal vein. Why it is helping general? It is general because it collects blood from biggest volume of the objects. From 5 meters of the small intestine, from 2 meters of the large intestine, from stomach, from pancreas, from spleen. The more of organs of the abdominal cavity, very big volume of the organs. But because it is general, but it doesn't bring blood into the heart. And because if it doesn't bring blood to the heart, it brings this blood into the liver for the cleaning. And after that, the blood by hepatic veins will direct to the inferior vena cava which specially for the taking of this blood after cleaning from liver, the inferior vena cava specially joins to the liver. On liver, for its location, is placed the groove of the inferior vena cava, into which hepatic veins will bring the cleaning blood. You can see, because if it doesn't direct blood concretely directly into the heart, it is called helping general. General because from biggest number of the objects and the biggest volume, and the helping because it doesn't bring directly into the heart. Between general veins and between helping veins, we have anastomosis. Do you remember we started with you anastomosis for the arterial anastomosis for the organs, which are very active, very mobile, which can expand very large by storing of the something. Do you see? Which are very important. Do you remember? And which do you see have the very big distance. And these all objects, they were supplied by many arteries, by divisions of the many arteries, and they produce anastomosis. Where we have anastomosis of the arteries, this is the same anastomosis we have for the veins. Besides this anastomosis, which will be for the special organs, we have anastomosis between general veins. Listen to me. This is superior vena cava. This is superior vena cava. It is completed by, do you see, azygos vein, and it is, do you see, is completed by brachiocephalic right, brachiocephalic left. Each brachiocephalic is completed by jugular internal and subclavian. Jugular internal and subclavian. You can see this is superior vena cava. This is inferior vena cava. This is inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava is completed by iliac common right, iliac common left, which are completed by iliac external and iliac internal. Iliac internal and iliac external. This is inferior vena cava. Here will be diaphragm. Here will be liver. Here will be liver. Into the liver enters for the differentiation of the vessels and objects. Into the liver enters portal vein. Portal vein. It enters into the liver. Portal vein is completed by mesenteric superior vein, by mesenteric inferior vein, and by splenic vein. Splenic vein, it by branches drainates the objects of the upper floor of the abdominal cavity. Mesenteric superior vein, it will collect branches, veins, which will have the same names of the arteries which begin from mesenteric superior artery. The same does mesenteric inferior vein. It will collect vein branches, colic left, sigmoid, and rectal superior, like branches of the mesenteric inferior artery. This is portal vein. Why portal vein by mesenteric superior and mesenteric inferior arteries? It collects blood from small intestine, from intestinal veins, do you see, from colic, ileocolic, colic left, colic right, colic medial, colic left, sigmoid, rectal, because in the intestine we have absorption of the some objects. In the small intestine we have, do you see, absorption of the monosaccharides, amino acids, and also we have emulsification of the fat. It will direct not into the vein system, it will direct at first into the lymphatic system. But from large intestine, why do you see we have absorption? Absorption of the water. But in the water, in the, do you see, food, besides absorption of the optimal things, we have the some abnormal things. When we eat, we don't know about condition of the food, because we have the some, do you see, some things for the conservation, do you see, some abnormal things can be, and our God gave us filter. The things, monosaccharides, amino acids, water, and abnormal things, they will absorb into the capillaries, which are placed in the villi of the small intestine and in the mucous membrane, concretely, of the large intestine for the absorption of the water by this moment. And capillaries collect into the venules collect into the veins, and veins will complete into the branches, which will accord the position and names of the arteries. And this blood, by the mesenteric superior, inferior, will come into the portal vein and will come into the filter. Listen to me. From, do you see, spleen, the blood by splenic vein, do you see, will come into the portal vein also. Why? The spleen is cemetery of the erythrocytes. Erythrocytes, they live near the 120 days. And after that, they direct for the destruction to the cemetery. Material from destruction of the erythrocytes by splenic vein will come into the liver for what? Because this will be material for the production of the bile. Into the splenic vein will open the pancreatic veins. Why? Because pancreas is exocrine gland by very biggest its portion. 99% of the weight of the pancreas is for the production of the pancreatic juice, for the destruction of the food, because duct of the pancreatic gland opens into the duodenum by greater duodenal papilla. And also 1%, which equals 1 gram of the pancreas, it is formed by alpha, beta, and delta cells. Alpha cells produce hormone, the glucagon, beta cells produce insulin, and delta cells produce the somatotropin. Beta cells, do you see, they produce insulin. This insulin by, do you see, blood comes into the liver, and if we have the big portion of the glucose in our organism, by normal function of the organism, this insulin will transform the extra part of the glucose into the glycogen and will put into the storehouse, which is liver. The alpha cells, they produce glucagon. Glucagon does opposite reaction. If we will have deficit of the glucose in the blood, the glucagon evacuates from storehouse glycogen, transforms it into the glucose, and returns into the blood. You can see the portal vein collects blood from these objects, and I explained you for what. From portal vein, do you see, this blood will come into the liver. After cleaning, it will go, do you see, into the continuation of the inferior vena cava, which specially joins to the liver for taking the blood after cleaning by hepatic veins. Because here will be, do you see, hepatic veins. Do you see? You can see, I explained you the portal vein. The superior vena cava, we studied with you. Superior vena cava, it, do you see, gets blood from head, neck, upper limbs, and thoracic region. Inferior vena cava, it will occur by position and its, do you see, roots by which it will be completed will occur position of the branches of the aorta. And because into the inferior vena cava will direct blood by femoral vein into the iliac external, and from all objects and walls of the pelvic box into the iliac internal, and after that into the inferior vena cava, which will pass, do you see, through the diaphragm and will bring blood into the right atrium by its posterior wall. When the, do you see, inferior vena cava passes through the abdominal cavity after its, do you see, production by iliac common veins, it gets sacral median vein, it gets 8 from each side lumbar veins, it gets, do you see, from lower side of the diaphragm phrenic inferior veins, and if you remember, it, do you see, gets, do you see, blood from hepatic veins. Also, do you see, it gets blood from kidney by renal veins, by suprarenal medial, and by testicular or ovary. Do you remember, aorta gave pair visceral branches for the kidney, suprarenal gland, and testis or ovary gland. Along of these arteries, by opposite direction of the blood, are placed the same veins, and they will bring blood into the inferior vena cava. But the inferior vena cava is placed to right from aorta. Aorta is placed, do you see, through the center of the vertebral column in the abdominal cavity, and from right side to it joins inferior vena cava. Because from right side, renal artery opens directly, suprarenal medial opens directly, testicular or ovary opens individually directly into the inferior vena cava. From right side, do you see, the distance of the renal artery is long, because it at first crosses, do you see, aorta and comes to the right side. And it is very easy for the testicular vein and for the suprarenal medial to open at first into the renal vein. The testicular and suprarenal medial, they don't open directly into the inferior vena cava. On left side, they open into the renal vein, and renal vein will bring blood into the inferior vena cava. On the right side, each from these pair veins will open individually. Visceral branches, you can see suprarenal medial, do you see renal, testicular. On right side, I said they open individually. And on left side, the testicular and suprarenal medial open into the inferior vena cava through the renal. And also, do you see the hepatic veins? Hepatic veins. Do you see hepatic veins? You can see this, do you see, is frontal plan for this scheme. But, my dear, you can see these all objects, they are placed on the posterior wall inside. And listen to me, here we have anterior wall. I will take anterior wall, and I, by sagittal position, will complete into this scheme to right side. Do you see? You can see this is anterior abdominal wall, because if I will draw here, do you see, we will cross all things, because I took anterior thoracic and abdominal wall and located by sagittal position. This will be umber. This will be umber. Do you see? You can see, and you will recollect me. Now is question for you. Inform me, give me some another colors. Inform me, please, how the anterior abdominal wall is supplied. Recollect me how the anterior abdominal wall is supplied. We studied this moment. And yesterday by last lesson we repeated this. By your memory, not by computer. Computer knows all things. Sometimes true, sometimes false. Inform me, please, how the anterior abdominal wall is supplied. Take in the my, do you see, in the my box we have some color pink pen. My dear, I wait from you the answer. I explain you all things. What? Superior epigastric artery. It is branch of what? Thoracic internal artery. Thoracic internal artery is branch of what? My dear, close all things. I gave you time. Thoracic internal artery is branch of what? What do you have here? Thoracic internal artery is branch of what? Subclavian artery. Subclavian artery gives thoracic internal continues below than the diaphragm by internal surface of the anterior thoracic wall, and after that by, do you see, abdominal wall to the umba, and below the diaphragm it is called epigastric superior. It anastomoses with epigastric inferior. Epigastric inferior is branch of what? My dear, after this, your attention, I explained you last time, do you see, every time I explain you what I do. I lose my health, I lose my energy, because my explanation